G'day, Chris Pickett from Vee Two Australia here again. Project 860. This is the engine. We're going to pull it apart. Now, normally we would do everything in our own particular way because we have jigs and whatnot here in the workshop. But who are you?
I'm Brook.
That's Brook Henry. So he's a V2 head honcho, right? He doesn't really like being on video, but he's gonna work it. We're going to get him smiling.
Yeah.
And Brook's going to instruct me, pretend that I'm a person in the workshop, wants to do this at home, on the other side of the world. He's going to instruct me on how to pull it apart so that you get the idea how you can do it at home. Away you go, Brook.
So, Chris, there are certain sequences to pull it apart, any of these engines, depending on what you're doing to it. In this case, it's coming completely to bits because we're going to restore it. So that's what we're going to focus on, that procedure. So there are certain things that we're going to do right now in the early stages that will make it easier to work on and take to bits later.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can do it. I'll show you what to do. You can do it. So the first thing we're going to do is go around and take all the small Allen, crack these small Allen keys just to get them loose. You're not going to take them out because you're going to take it out with a rattle gun, but you don't want to crack it with a rattle gun because firstly it might have dirt in the thing. You might have to clean that out to get the Allen key in there good so you don't strip it. And the rattle gun may not be strong enough to undo the screw, but because they are a rattle gun, they can strip the hex. So you don't want to just hit it with a rattle gun to start with. 9 times out of 10 it'll work, but I don't do that. I go around and crack them all by hand so I can feel them. And if it's a dodgy thread, I can write it down so I know next time when I'm putting them back together. It's just a protocol that I do to, and it helps me later on when you put it back together. So you've got a T-bar. You can use these T-bars or something like this and go mad.
Okay.
So you're going to just crack all those Allen keys. I'm not going to get you to crack the main crankcase bolts around the bottom or here, and there's a reason for that, which we'll get to. But basically, I also want to, as we're taking it apart, I want to inspect bits and pieces,
okay,
and note them, write them down on our quote sheet,
okay,
so that we don't miss anything and there's no surprises. So if you can't get it in there, we'll clean it out, blow it out, dig it out with a scriber, whatever. So you
want these undone on the
all the covers on the cylinder head because we're going to strip those completely.
Okay.
And it's easier to get to it when you're doing it in the jig. I mean, a lot of what I'm going to show you is also about time.
Okay.
You're cracking all these and you're holding one tool. You're not cracking it, then putting that down, picking up the rattle gun, undoing that screw. That's a lot of waste of time.
Okay.
So for the guys at home, it don't matter. They can do them one at a time and take them out with a rattle gun one at a time. But it's in a situation like what we're doing, we were doing a lot of engines. Time is money. See, that was a particularly tight one.
It was. Yeah.
And is that scripted? I think it might.
I think it might be.
Yeah. So this one, you want to take that off, and we're going to bang. I don't know. Probably the camera can't see that. Was that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, top.
So when you get one like that that's tight, if you keep going on it, the chances are you're going to strip it, and it's going to create a drama. You're going to waste time. So by putting that in and tapping it like that, you can. What that's doing is it's actually stretching the head of the bolt, and it may need a bit more. We may even have to put a pin punch on it and give it a really good crack, but it may just be enough to do it. There you go.
There you go.
So if they don't go, you need to stop and find out why, and don't cause yourself grief. Righto,
That's
that's good.
in here. This is an oddball sort of ignition setup.
Yeah, that is
It's a bit.
that's right. Just give it a belt with a hammer. There you go. All that. Look at that. This is English, made in England, and it is a Lucas reader. And they certainly got a lot of bikes going that had the original. This is a version of the ignition on this is called an electronica, Ducati electronica. It was actually made by Ducati Electronica, who's a different company to Ducati, but at the time they were linked. And the ignitions on these things were very basic. Yeah, both side covers. These side cover, all those can be loose. Yeah, the ignition systems on an 860 were self-generating for a start. They didn't need a battery, which in itself was probably not a bad thing. But the design was not good, and the advance curve was even worse. It only had 2 positions. It didn't have any linear curve at all, and that was a bit of an issue. So this system was invented, designed in England by Lucas. Well, actually, that's not true. It was designed by another guy that was involved with Lucas, and they sold a lot of them. And they had a linear advance curve, and in the day they were, definitely far better than the existing one. But as time's gone on, there's other systems on the market that are better, and these aren't backed up with. There's no one making them. There's no parts available for them. So when we find one on an engine like this one, we would change it over to a later version. There'll be one 6mm Allen key in that one, Chris. What you'll need that for. There's one oddball screw in that in the gear change cover at the bottom. They're all the same.
Right here.
Square coats and round coats all the same. Got 3 5mm and 1 6mm. I'm sure there's a reason. I must admit I've
Never asked Dr.
never
Tagliati.
asked the doctor, no.
You can't ask him now.
I probably should have when I could have, but I didn't. Someone probably over drilled the hole or something. They'd put a bigger screw in it. I don't know. It's more likely something to do with the fact that this cover is the clutch actuator, and there's a lot of load on that when you pull the clutch in. And maybe they thought it needed an extra screw in it. I don't know.
You got a shorter one there for the
A shorter one for the
Allen key for the where the alternator wires come out. Make it a bit hard to get that one on straight.
Yeah, we have probably got. I'll just get a standard Allen key. There you go. Perfect.
Cool. You're all done.
Good. Okay, so the next thing is we are going to take the covers off the side of the engine, and we're going to take these triangle covers off. And the reason we're doing that is because we're going to expose in here. There's 2 nuts, one on the end of the gearbox, one on the crank. On the same on this side, there's one on the clutch gearbox, and one on the crank. And in these 2 are the 2 nuts that hold the camshaft bevel gear on. And while the engine is together and everything is connected, you will find it a lot easier to crack those nuts and just loosen them, so that when you get to the stage where you're going to pull it to bits, the nut's already loose, and you don't have to try and hold something that is spinning freely because you've disconnected the whatever gear, and it's just spinning, and it saves time. It saves time. You got to take the covers off anyway, and you go around and do those 6 nuts. It's done, and you can get on with getting out of the bar.
Bob your auntie.
Bob your auntie, that true, that true. So get those covers off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 covers. And yeah, you can use the rattle gun now because you know that they're all loose, and off you go.
Might just
we're probably, I imagine, we're going to change all the screws in this engine to make it looking good. Yeah. I do replate them, Chris, because the original cap screws are different to what you can buy these days.
okay.
That's interesting. See that screw there? See how that's drilled?
I've been for lock wiring.
So that screw is actually the screw out of the bottom of the crankcase, not out of there. So someone's had this engine apart
Okay.
and mixed the screws up.
That's for the
There's two,
lead
there's
seal.
two, yeah, there's two of them beside each other in the bottom, and that's for the lead seal, and that's. In fact, there's the other one. They're both on there. They're both in the case cover. So,
Right.
there you go.
Makes life easier, doesn't it?
It does.
Hmm?
But you're not listening.
Hello?
No. What have you done?
Oh, you want to take these covers off? Sorry.
No, I said I counted the covers and showed you which ones had to come off.
Oh, I thought you said. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
No,
Yep.
I didn't.
No.
It's on video.
I'm listening. I'm not listening.
Unbelievable.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that, viewers. He's a hard taskmaster.
Talk about teaching old dogs. Bloody hell.
I'm used
It
to
doesn't
doing
matter.
what I want.
It doesn't matter. They got to come off anyway. But yeah, that'll go straight out. It's got a drive. It's got they use an Allen key
Yeah,
to
okay.
drive it.
Yeah, right. Never seen one of them before.
Well, you're fortunate. Halewood had one of those systems on his bike when he went to the Isle of Man in '78.
Is this where they?
And the factory guy and the two guys from the factory said there is no way in the world that bike's going out with that ignition on it, not a chance. And they converted it back to original, and they were using a point system, and there was a bit of political drama because Lucas were a sponsor, and they had words about it, but the Italians won, and the thing in that race that did have points and coil. So, regardless of what anyone tell you.
Find some tools here.
Yes, you want a 6 down the bottom. This mechanism here, Chris, is something we're going to go into in great detail later.
Right.
But when you take this off, it's actually quite a big lump, and it's got a lot of mechanical stuff inside here, and that'll just fall straight off.
So what do you want me to take off first?
Well, that doesn't matter. That cover should come straight off. There you go, and it goes on the bench over there, and we'll get into that later. So that is the gear selector mechanism. That little sleeve will come off. That drives it. So this is the nut we're going to undo. That's one of the nuts we're going to do, and that's cool. It'll come off. Right. So this should come off. If you got the screws out here, the middle ones. Yep, yeah. There you go. Perfect. That comes off. Over there. Weet-Bix packets. We want V2 gaskets, not Weet-Bix packets.
That's right.
And now I think we could probably just spin it round so that our viewers can look at the side cover. So that cover, you got all the screws out of that?
Yep.
Now that may be tight on the crank, but it may not be. Usually they'll just come off. There you go, it's going. Perfect. You're a pro.
How about that?
Yeah, that'll come out. That just needs to jiggle around. There you go.
What is it? Jiggery pokery?
Jiggery pokery, yeah. A bit of jiggery pokery. More Weet-Bix packets. I must have eaten a lot of Weet-Bix in Italy, I'll tell you. Righto. So looks like Coco the Clown has been in here, probably, or his brother.
Oh, look at that.
With a cold chisel, which is fairly normal. So that's cool.
Let's just have a cold chisel to undo the nut.
We'll fix that. So we've got. We'll take this off.
Okay.
Because there's a nut in the clutch that we're going to break.
Yep.
And you've got one nut there, you've got one there, and like I said, one here. That's 2, 4, 5, 6 on the camshaft.
Okay.
So you need to go around and take all the lock tabs, undo all the lock tabs.
Yep.
Which I bought a little baby cold chisel here that will do that, and a baby hammer.
Right.
And just go around.
So here,
we're not going to use the lock tab scenario is another thing we're going to talk about. We're not going to use any lock tabs on this engine at all. So you're just going to bend them back. Don't worry about damaging them because they're going to go in the bin where they all should be. All you're doing is making it so you can get the socket on. Has these got screwdriver or Allen keys in here?
Screwdriver.
Yeah, I thought they might. Okay. Well, that's early 860, the 860s and 750s like that.
Okay. Should be a
that one there you can do. So you've done those. So
we'll do these.
Do these ones.
Camshaft.
So you got the camshaft ones to do. I'm going to put our degree wheel. I'm going to put our degree wheel in here so I can turn it over and show the viewers a couple of things that they need to check if they're doing it.
Okay.
Or we need to check on this engine.
Cool.
So, like I said, we're going to undo that nut,
yep.
that nut, and that nut. But before we undo those, we're going to have a look.
Do you want me to undo the one on the
undo the lock tab? Yeah, undo the lock tab. They could have more than one. They could have more than one, but that's all right. Look all right?
No, that's all right.
Okay. So I've put this timing tool in here so that I can rotate the engine. And the reason I want to do that is because you can rotate it with a spanner on here. Well, it just doesn't matter how you do it. But what we want to do is we want to have a look at the bevels the way they are. So this pair of bevels, that pair of bevels, this pair of bevels in here, and this pair in here. So we're just going to have a look at them and see what the backlash is, see what the condition of them is, and make a note of it so that when we go to put it back together, we can fix it and make it right. And if we don't know what it was like before as far as backlash and the shimming of it, we can obviously start from the beginning and go right through it. But if you've got a bit of an idea of what it was like, you know that the shims that are in it may or may not be the correct shims, whatever. Just gives you a little bit more knowledge about the engine you're working on and who else has been working on it, what they've done, what they haven't done, etc. Okay. So these gears here will have, they could have a lot of backlash, and that one there doesn't have virtually any, which is okay. That's what it should have, no backlash. And that one, a little bit more on it. That one is very loose to the point where it's possible that the gear's loose on the cam. I don't know, but it's definitely got a bit of backlash. We're also going to talk about setting these bevels up, which is actually not that difficult, as long as you know what you're looking for, which we're going to show you. And at this point, I get a quick look at to see how the mesh is set up. So you've got two things that you're doing. You're checking the mesh, so that's the backlash in the gear, and you're setting up the way that the gears are interacting with themselves in the alignment of the teeth, and they are matched in the factory, and they put every single gear or every single pair of gears has got a they grind it with an air grinder, and those grind marks have to line up. So we'll go into that in detail, and there is a lot to know about that, but once you do know, you can set one up very easily. So I'll get a flashlight, which we had here, and I'll show you. I just want to have a look at that. There it is. We did have it. So this one of these little lights I have all the time when I'm pulling a motor apart or working on it. So I'm looking for the grind mark on here, which isn't always easy to find, but there it is there. That's it there. I'll turn that back to there and have a look at it. That's actually not that bad. That one there's pretty good. And this one's a bit hard to see because of the
setup here.
Because of the washer, but that's all right. I'll find it. We'll find it. And there it is there. There it is there. So that one's actually not too bad either. So, I mean, we're going to set them up again anyway, but they don't look like they're mismatched or anything, so that's good. And these ones in here, which are a bit harder to see, but there you go, that's that. There you go, that's it. Right. There you go, that's it there. That one that's pretty good. That one's not too bad. I don't know.
Can we see that with the camera?
We'll get some detailed stuff in here, but later. But in there, you're looking across the top of the teeth. You're looking across the top of the teeth, which I'm not really getting. No, we'll do it. We'll do it. Have it out on the bench and show them.
Right.
So, and that one there, you might get that one because this one's lined up. This one's lined up. You can see. I don't know if you can see in there. Oh, yeah. We get a pointer, we would. Yeah. So that one is also reasonable. It's not miles away. And
does it look like this engine's ever really been apart?
Well, I do know a little bit about this through this engine. Yes, it's been apart for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been apart a few times. So this is just a tool that I've made up with a socket, a couple of old ball bearings on welded on there, and I can rock this and see whether it's got backlash in it.
Okay.
So you have a look with a torch. You have a look at those two gears there with a torch, and then I'm going to rock them.
A little bit of backlash, but not a huge amount.
Not too bad. They're not too bad.
Yeah.
I've seen them a lot worse than that. And this one is going to be, what's that one like?
More.
That's what got more. Yeah, it feels like it's got more.
Yeah.
You can see it in here.
Yeah.
So like we'll make a note of that.
Yep.
And the other thing we're going to check is just a flat bladed screwdriver, which I thought we've got out. I'll put it over there. So these are shimmed in and out, and so they can't move and they rotate freely. So we're going to check to see what that's actually amazing. That's normally that would be loose.
Okay.
But this one is pretty.
That's a little.
That one is a little bit loose, but it's not too bad. So whoever's had it apart has done a reasonable job on it. That's for sure. So that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we can go around and crack the nuts that we want to loosen.
Okay.
These are left hand.
Right. Okay.
These are left hand.
So tighty loosey.
Tighty loosey.
Righty loosey.
Righty loosey.
That's right.
Righty loosey. And yeah, I mean, look, Ducati singles, same. These are the same. Actually, the crank nut on a singles is the same. So anyway, let's get you've got all that one there. This one, I noticed that when I put this on, it didn't go on really good. And they've actually bashed two sides of the lock tabs,
right?
Which is not uncommon, but it's totally unnecessary. And
that's just to mess us up.
Yeah,
I would say something else, but
yeah,
we're family friendly here.
We're family
Vee Two.
Okay, so I've got a couple of rail guns there. I've got a small one and a large one. So I've got those. That one I'll do the alternator. Just try that on the alternator. That should do the alternator.
Yep.
Whack it on there and just check it's going the right direction. And hit the alternator and just crack the nut. Don't necessarily have to take it off. If it comes off, that's fine. But let it go.
Yep.
There you go. Perfect. And we're gonna. You've undone that. You've undone the.
As it won't come undone, check your rattle gun direction.
Yeah, 100%. 22 I've got here ready for the. 22 I've got for the. 22. Okay, so that could go on there.
Yep.
And this is a V2 tool, which are available. We've got them. I think are they on the website? I don't know.
They are.
They are.
They are.
Well, that's good. You're doing your job.
Am I?
Not bad.
No, not bad.
Right. That is normal. Now that may or may not. Oh, that'll be this it's in gear. It's in gear, so it'll that'll just unravel. Okay. Just push it in when you do it, otherwise it'll. There you go. Done. So that's that one. And we're going to now the nuts on the cylinder head are 22, the same size as you had on for that, and they are righty
loosey.
Righty loosey.
Beautiful. Come on, baby, get on there.
There you go.
Didn't really want that to come off, but
you can spin it back and sit it back on. These are particularly a pain to get undone. Once you strip the head and you go, how am I going to get the nut off? Well, you obviously can do it, and there's a special tool the factory supply to hold the cam and all that. But it's all time.
Pain in the backside.
And this is.
Tell you what, this open time is.
Yeah, chuck it in because your brain can't work out that left hand thread, mate.
Oh, that's exactly right.
Oh, I knew I could see it going on from here.
Yeah, exactly.
Left hand thread.
Yeah, left hand thread.
Undo it. Look at that.
Look at that.
It's like magic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Righto, we'll spin this around again. So our cameraman doesn't have to run around following us.
Thank you.
You're going to undo the screws in the clutch, if you can. Good. I'll hold it for you.
Right, thank you. I thought you were just going to make me work hard.
I'm a good apprentice.
Okay, you want me to take them all out?
Yeah, they all can come out. Chuck them in. So this whole clutch setup is something that we need to look at when we put it back together. But I mean, this is a basic strip down. If we go into everything when we get it through the video, but we will go through these. We'll have to split it up into a few episodes, I think.
Well, it'll be a 10-hour video and more, and they'll fall asleep after an hour.
Oh, they'd be drunk after an hour, wouldn't they?
Yeah, and and then they wouldn't learn.
Well,
They wouldn't be taught. You know?
I'd be drunk, that's for sure.
Yeah. Drunk on power?
Yeah.
Not really. No, you
No,
don't.
I'm not a power
You don't
drunk.
get. You don't
I'm
get
not a
drunk
power
on
drunk.
power.
Righto. You're
No.
still doing, you're still going.
Yeah. Irrespective of what people say.
You're slow.
Yeah. I don't know what they say actually. It really and really it doesn't matter.
No.
Does it?
No, well, it's certainly. Righto, rip all that out. That comes, that whole thing should come out in one bit.
Yeah.
But
I just want to
that's
get
fine.
those.
they can go on the bench over there.
So I don't lose any of them bastards.
And that can stay there for the time being. All you're doing is undoing
the
this
nut.
nut. So that's the rattle gun again. It's this.
Oh, they haven't even done that one up.
It's this
They haven't
socket.
even- well, a
And
little bit.
a little bit.
A little bit.
So that's a normal thread. I'm going to hold a little bit of pressure on the clutch plate for you. It won't. It'll just stop the hub.
Right.
But yeah, there you go. That was tight. Now there goes. We're going to get into the reason that was loose later on, and I'll show you the result of that being loose. But the fact that was loose is not uncommon, and there's a good reason for it.
Okay.
And basically, one of the reasons is the lock tab, and that's why we don't use lock tabs.
Yep.
It's dinosaur stuff.
Do you want me to take the whole clutch cover?
You can pull the plates. Oh,
Plates.
if they come out, they might do. Yeah, there you go. Get them out. We'll get into those later.
It's interesting too to note how
Wow, that's worn, isn't it?
yeah. Fuck.
Yeah, that's pretty worn. Righto. Okay.
Is there
So
one more plate in there? There
Hmm?
is. Is there one more plate in there?
maybe. There you go.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to freaking tell.
No,
No, I don't think there is.
if it is, we'll get it later.
Yeah.
I don't think there is. Okay, so we're going to. We might as well. We can take the. We could take this off, but I think we'll just take the cylinder heads off to start with.
Okay.
So it looks like they are non-standard head nuts.
Yes.
So I got the 16s out, but
They're
I think
17s.
they're the wrong ones. They are.
There is a 7 in the center there.
So
Exactly that reason.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll do
One I prepared earlier.
one you prepared earlier.
Yeah.
This is my favourite 17. Don't tell anyone, but it's German. But that's okay. Very good
That's a
smell.
15.
I knew that. Where's my 17?
I don't know. That's why I grabbed that one.
We're going to need that.
It's one of them little green what?
It's an LGM. The LGMs have been in overnight.
Yep. Little green man.
Little green man moves everything that you don't want moved. Right, so you can crack the head nuts.
Right.
I'll go so I can find my other spanner. Look at that, beautiful.
Loose.
Is it loose?
That one.
Well, that's not
Pain in
really.
the ass to get into, aren't they?
Yeah, well, that's why I
That's
want my German spanner.
Your little ground down spanner.
Yeah.
Who makes a tea?
Who makes
Tea.
the tea?
Yeah. I'd have a cup of tea about now.
Well,
But we're busy working.
mine's
So-
still working, so I'll be all right.
Can't do both at the same
I'd
time.
almost swear you
Hey?
made that.
What's that?
I'd almost swear you made that.
Is it no good?
No, it's not that brilliant.
Well, you had to heat it up. You weren't missing in action.
Yeah. They are loose.
I will admit I just cracked them
Oh,
slightly earlier just to make sure. I didn't want to get on there and have a drama.
I'll crack you in a minute.
No, but they weren't. They were tight, but they weren't crazy. You know.
Yeah. I don't think you've undone
That one.
the nut here because I did say 6, but I think you've only counted to 5.
Well, you
That's
didn't.
good.
You didn't inform me
well,
on that one.
listen, there's a thing you need to understand and need to learn. If something goes wrong,
It's my fault.
it's not going to be mine.
I know, that's right. And I should have I should be psychic.
You should be psychic.
Yeah.
You should. You should do what I'm thinking, not what I'm saying.
It's a bit of a pain. That one.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's not very tight either.
No, it's not very tight.
Again, same problem as the clutch. There is a reason for that to be loose. And that's caused so much drama with bevel drives and give them a bad name. It's ridiculous. And people persistently use them. They sell them. People sell them to people, and the lock tabs I'm talking about.
Yep.
And, it's like you're selling someone something that is going to more than likely make their engine fail.
Make their life harder.
Well, it's going to make their engine fail.
Yeah.
And they're going to go, I thought I tightened that up and put a lock tab. Look, it's come loose. It's even got a lock tab on it. Yeah, well.
Mm.
If you use marshmallow under the nut, it's going to come loose. And that's what the original lock tabs are. They're like using aluminium washer under it. They're soft. So, anyway, like I said, we'll go into that in more detail, but that's why they come loose.
Yeah.
They don't spin off because they have got the lock on the tab. They don't spin off. Yeah, that's great. But they don't hold the pressure that you set them on originally. So that's bad.
Yep.
Righto, so those stainless nuts, Chris, really flash.
Really flash. They just don't look right though, do they?
No.
I know these will come off
Yeah,
of their own volition when we put them off, but
So the cylinder heads. This is another little thing that we see people are trying to get the cylinder heads off. So they get this, and they think that either these 4 bolts here have to come off to get it off, or these 2 here to pull that off. So this is separated. Not true. And this chrome tube is the bevel tube, and that's sitting in O-rings, and it's a sliding fit, and the head will literally slide straight off, and all this will separate without undoing any bolts. So I mean, look, this has been on for, I hate to think how long, but it will come off, and you'll start.
Okay, I was going to say, what do you recommend for people like a rubber mallet? Don't start bashing it with a steel
These
mallet.
plastic mallets are good, and you can hit this under here pretty well as hard as you like.
Yeah.
And then you can tap. This one's had an oil cooler on it, so it's got these nuts on the side here, so that's good to do it. But basically, that's moving. Right? So
Don't start bashing it on your fins.
You can't bash the fins; you'll break them.
Because here's a good example of that.
That one I think is broken, isn't it?
That one's broken.
So you take that. It's good to have someone to help you, because you can get them to put a bit of pressure on this side, and you do that side, and away it'll go. Let's go. That's fine. Keep going.
It's coming out of that one there.
There you go.
There you go.
So that's separated from its O-ring.
Yep.
Whip her up. Okay. Now, it's always exciting when you pull the heads off, so you can have a look inside. So turn it up the other way, and we'll have a quick look. And yeah, well, definitely that has had some work done to it at some stage. But the cylinder heads are almost a whole episode, getting those apart, working out what's going on with them, etc. So that can go over there. And we can pull this one off the same.
Right.
So yeah, we can pull that one off the same. Yeah, let's go. There you go. I mean, I reckon I know the guy that had this was actually a gunner in an Australian tank in Vietnam.
Oh wow. Okay.
Really nice guy, good friend of mine. And he's done a lot of miles on it. But when I bought it off him, it hadn't run for over 20 years. So anyway, so the barrels could come off. There's no reason not to take them off, and we can. It's all going to come to bits anyway. So We can just pull that off.
Now, what do you suggest if they're really stuck on? Obviously, you don't want to be bashing them with a...
No, and that can happen. And
I don't mean if it's seized, but if the pistons are seized.
One of the things that happens, and you can, this one has started to do it, and the reason they do it is because, see this rust here?
Yep.
And corrosion? So, when the cylinder head goes on, it doesn't have a head gasket, and it seals on that top of the liner there in the counterbore in the head. So that is the bit that seals. So this area here, and if you look here, this has all got dirt and grime, and all that's coming off the front wheel on this bike, on a V-twin. But the reason all that's there is because the cylinder head seals on this face. It does not touch this face, the aluminium face. So there's an air gap in there. It can be between 5 thou and 20 thou, or 0.05 and 0.5.
0.5, yeah.
So when it's raining, when the front wheel is showering the front cylinder with water and the back one, the road grime hits here, and it goes, and the water, and it goes, sits in here, and then it can run down, because there's nothing sealing it, it can run down the stud.
Okay.
And the water just sits here. It can't get out. The only way it can get out is when it stops raining and you're still riding the bike.
And it steams up.
And it disappears. But then anything in the water, like salt, or especially in the UK or wherever that they put in solar roads, is a nightmare. And it gets in here. And these, I've had them where I've had to cut the studs to get them off.
Yeah, right.
Because of, especially if the engine's been on a salt road.
Yeah. Right.
So if your engine's been exposed to a salt road and it hasn't been apart for a long time, as you said, these can seize up in the barrel, and it really is a problem. And you just got to keep working it and putting stuff down here until you get it, and it will go, but it can be a problem. And I mean, like I said, I have had them where I've had to cut them off and then get them out of the crankcase and change them, drill them out of the barrel. So, or if it's that bad, often you change the whole lot, change the barrel and everything. But it's that is a bit of a design fault. I mean, the later model engines actually have O-rings on them, so the water can't get down there.
Yep.
Or they don't run this system. This is actually a head gasket, so the water can't get down there. But the old Bells, the V-twins, they can get down. The water can get down there, and it can cause a problem. So you need to be aware of that.
Okay, pull that off.
Yeah, whip that off. Don't worry about just rip the piston out of the barrel. See I don't know, you probably didn't see, but all that rust, all this rust and stuff. Look, see this here? This is all the rust that just fell out of that stud. It's on this one. Look at it. So that's definitely been sitting a long time. So we're going to take this one off. That one's fine. That barrel, that piston. We'll talk about that piston. This engine has either done a big end in the past, or it's done one now. One of the two. Absolutely, I would say it's done a big end now. So again, it doesn't matter. We're rebuilding the thing anyway, but it's just. If we look at the skirt of this piston, we look at the skirt of that piston. Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe it's done a big end in its life. The big end that's in it is not the original factory big end, and I don't know what it is, but it's one of the aftermarket big ends. And you can see all this stuff here is the big end material that's come out of the rollers when it blew up, and that's stuck itself on the piston, and they should have been replaced, but look, lots of people don't.
Yep.
And it's often about money, and look, this is not going to make the motor stop. It's not going to make it unreliable. It's going to make the barrel, it's going to have a scored barrel, and the rings aren't going to seal as well as they would have originally, but look, there's these engines have been running around like that for years, and they work, blow a bit of smoke, not ideal, but if you're using it for back in the day, you're using it for transport, go to work on. If you didn't have the money, you still got to get to work, so you just put it back together and ran it, and possibly that's what happened to this one. So you don't do that these days very often. People using them and restoring them, making specials, whatever, like we're going to do.
They're a collectible motorcycle.
Yeah, they're a collectible motorcycle, and that's it. Righto. So really, the next thing is that we want to split the cases. So we need to get these bevel tubes off. I don't know how tight they're going to be, but we just.
This one's not too bad.
Yeah, you've got stronger hands than me. I don't know where you get the exercise on your hands from, but I suppose.
Years of self-abuse.
Oh,
this made his hands withered and useless.
I wasn't going to say that. I'm just saying you do have strong hands. Right, look at that. Right, perfect. They go over there. The sequence in which we took the pistons, the barrels off, isn't how we're going to put it back together, but that doesn't matter. You'll see why when we do it. We may as well take these pistons off now, get them out of the road, otherwise I'll be just something in the road. And you've done as many of those as I've done, so you can show me how to do it.
Right, okay, here we go. I don't want to be blocking the video with my head. Basically, by rights, nice little pointer. You have this piston pin clip here, and it'll be normally where that little slot is in the piston here. You should be able to torch.
Yes, I'll hold the torch for you. Again, Chris, we're not taking these apart to use them again.
No.
So you can destroy it and get it out. Doesn't matter. There you go. Easy.
There you go. That's what they look like.
And we're going to do the rear one.
Once again.
There you go. Perfect. Okay, so
sometimes these can be tight in here.
I'll just.
You got your other way.
This is a. There you go. That's not so tight. That's a good one. They can be very tight, and it's actually interestingly, it's not the gudgeon in the piston that makes them tight. It's when the engine's running, the gudgeon is going backwards and forwards, and it hammers up against the circlet, and that causes it to create a bit of a burr in the hole.
Yeah, right.
So that's what you're fighting when you're taking it out. Is that burr? So, and like an engine that's revved very hard, it's going to be worse than one that isn't.
Yep.
And if there's also extracting tools for these gudgeons, and you can use an extractor on it, and that stops you putting any extra load on the side of this big end.
Yeah. We're going to change
this
anyway.
system would, but again, we're doing a full restoration on this engine. We're going to take all the bits and
so they'll be getting changed.
They will be getting changed, and we'll go through the options. There's several options available. Same with the big end. We'll change that, and even feeling it. That actually, I don't think the big end's done that much work. It's definitely had a new big end. Oh, yeah.
How can you tell?
Because I can tell the side clearance. I can tell by the side clearance of the rod.
Yep.
And I can tell by looking at the rods that they're not original factory rods.
Okay.
So someone's changed them.
Yep.
Okay, so we can keep going with getting all the bits off it. So the alternator rotor can come off. You should be able to undo that with your fingers and pull that off. Put that over on the table. There's a little key in there. You want to just grab that out. It shouldn't be super tight.
Key there?
Yeah, that's fine. And
What about this? So you want me to pull the lower bevel support plate off?
yes, that's what I was going to do. But you know what? I reckon that I'll just about have enough for the moment, and
Okay.
we should leave that all for another episode.
Righto.
The viewers are probably ready to have a beer or something.
Yeah. Or had
And,
too many.
Or had too many. Either that. They don't all take after you.
All right.
Actually, see, this is something you could look at. This is what I was saying about the rust and the corrosion getting in there, and that's fallen out of that.
Out of that,
pull that barrel. So that's something to watch. Anyway, till next time. Awesome.
Till next time. See you guys.